Hello and thank you for joining us on this program. I am Abulu Osemahu, your regular host on the Tripartite, the Worker, Employer and Government Roundtable. Now, one of the world's biggest companies, Dangote Group, is having a running battle with oil and gas workers in Nigeria, that is the NUPENG and Pengasin, as well as their mother unions, the NLC and TUC, over what they call anti-labor activities in Dangote refinery. We will give you all the angles of what has transpired in the last days. Now, before we bring you global update on labor stories, let's serve you with one of our newest on the block, Did You Know? Now, we're going to give you the last 2 episodes of Did You Know and some fresh ones. Do enjoy it.
Did you know?
I think what the worker needs to be healthy and productive is a collective thing. There is individual aspect and there is corporate aspect. What I mean by individual aspect, you must have an intentional attitude towards becoming healthy. And that comes with knowledge. So the area of health education and awareness is paramount at this point in time. Then the corporate aspect is such that the establishment has some degree of enforcement to do, thereby getting the workers to remain healthy. Because if the worker is not healthy, productive hour is lost, man hour is lost, and that will not be nice for the establishment. So, generally speaking, both the worker, even the family, and the corporate establishment need some role, have some role to play in keeping an employee healthy. You see, the truth is this: as we get older, especially energy boosting food has to reduce because you're no more too active to requiring them. It's understandable. So what is there is that you carefully observe. I mean, your taste should even change. You carefully observe what quality. Now it's about quality and not quantity, and that's what should be done. In fact, what you take and everything, and in all fairness, you've understood your system, how it works, and you should align by that. When you work, you have to be, active. If you are active and you are active to a particular time, that should be considered. Why I say this is not that when you are sitting down and maybe looking at files or looking at laptop, you count it as being active. What is active is when you make a movement. And, it's easier now to calculate your level of activity by wearing some wristwatches ahead that could invariably tell you the amount of time or the pace you've achieved for a day. And that's that. Exercise is one of the most underrated and easiest cardio health program. For instance, if you must be considered to have been active in a week, you ought to have been active for 2.5 hours for that week. So invariably what it means is that 25 to 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes for 5 days in a week, and that will be enough. However, if you are engaging in vigorous exercise, the time reduces to 1 hour 15 minutes. So if you split it, you could have like maybe 20 minutes or 15 minutes per day for 5 days. So actually what is important is consistency and being deliberate. If you are consistent with what you are doing and you are deliberate, I don't think there are issues. But the thing is that what also it means is that the workplace should have the setting such that we encourage workers to move around. It's not that when you have a system that does not allow free movement, it becomes an issue. The health sector is one of the best policies government, backed on, but badly managed, either by so many factors. By looking at it casually, you'll find out that even some areas are not covered, and this becomes an issue. For instance, if I want to operate on some places, you begin to struggle by when the HMO tells you, oh, you can't charge more than this, the patient cannot pay this, and you start to wonder because they've not taken time to look at it. You see, it's like you have a good program, you just drop it on the people without really looking at it critically. I think that's the issue. I personally think that if government or create a committee or subcommittee to carefully look at those things, it will be brushed up well.
Did you know?
The Tripartite. It's new, it's fresh, it's informative, it's educational, and it is authentic. The Tripartite holds onto the workers, the employers, the government, and the international development partners on a round table to critically dissect issues concerning employment, productivity, welfare, safety, and health. A people united can never be defeated. Join us on the Tripartite, the worker, employer, and government roundtable.
Welcome back. Now let's hear from Francis as he gives us global stories shaping the world of work.
My name is Mohammed Megardi Gadi, the Minister of Labor and Employment. You are watching the Tripartite program on AIT.
Hello and welcome to yet another edition in Loaded Global Stories Shaping the World of Work. I am Francis. In Armenia, Public Service International PSI Union, USLJPSEA, is fighting to protect its members' health and nearby communities as a burning landfill releases toxic fumes across the capital, creating a public health emergency. The union is advocating for a fair system where employers, businesses, and polluters contribute through progressive taxation and other tax measures. Dominican Republic nurses fight wage discrimination in healthcare system. The National Union of Nursing Workers, SINATRE, denounces that the salary increases agreed with the Dominican government are not being applied fairly to nursing staff. In a nationally broadcast TV interview, SINATRE's General Secretary, Aracelis de Salas, warned about distortions that keep thousands of professionals in conditions of inequality. She said many nurses only received salary increases of 1,000 to 1,500 pesos, while other health sectors are granted all incentives. This is discrimination, and we will not accept it, said de Salas. After weeks of strong mobilization and 38 days of negotiations, FedCut, a PSI union in Peru, has secured major wins in the 2025 national collective bargaining process for tens of thousands of health and social security workers. The agreement unifies base salaries with scheduled increases through 2027, while strengthening Peru's public health system through better working conditions and expanded protections. The comprehensive agreement includes provisions for workload compensation, professional development, health and safety, telework arrangements, psychosocial risk prevention, coverage for serious illnesses, equal access for workers with disabilities, and recognition of trade union rights. In the Netherlands, work-life balance is so embedded that the country's workers have ended up adopting the 4-day week without really knowing it. The Netherlands is quietly rewriting the rules of work, with thousands of employees embracing a 4-day week without laws, mandates, or big reforms. The 4-day work week is often pitched as a bold, disruptive idea, something governments should legislate or companies must radically restructure to implement. But in the Netherlands, it is taking root quietly and organically. It is not as a grand policy shift, but as a cultural evolution that's now making the Dutch workforce one of the most time efficient in Europe. This isn't some Silicon Valley experiment or a trendy pilot scheme. According to a recent report by the Financial Times, the Dutch didn't legislate a 4-day work week. They slid into it, thanks to decades of labor policy, social norms, and a focus on work-life balance. According to Eurostat's 2023 data, it is a slow revolution rooted in choice and flexibility. According to the Netherlands, it now has the shortest average working week in Europe at just 32.2 hours. That's nearly 4 full hours fewer than France, which is 36 hours, and even below Germany at 34 hours. In Nigeria, the Trade Union Congress TUC has rejected a 5% VAT on petroleum products by the government. The Labour Centre, with over 30 affiliates, has issued a 14-day strike notice calling for withdrawal of the policy. And that is all on this segment. I am Francis.
I'm Reverend Professor Hyacinth Ichok, the Vice Chancellor of Veritas University, Abuja. Please keep watching the Tripartite program on AIT.
My name is His Excellency Ambassador Professor Tunji John Asaolu. I am the Secretary General, the United World Congress of Diplomats, UNWCD. I'm also the Chair of Governing Council, African Union Agenda 23 Ambassadorial Assembly. In AIT, a program that is being called Tripartite. Keep watching. It's a program that you shouldn't miss. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back. In our Let's Talk segment, we're going to give you bits and pieces of activities that characterized the oil and gas industry in the last couple of days, following agitations by labor unions and labor centers over alleged anti-labor activities in Dangote refinery. Dangote refinery has imported about 10,000 trucks and wanting them to belong to a separate group outside the trade unions. But the trade unions are fighting back, in the words of the Public Service International. So let's enjoy, or let's have the full information regarding the issues, both the meeting at the Ministry of Labor and elsewhere.
The National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, had directed all its PTD members to withdraw their services across depots this Monday. A visit to the Apapa and some other loading depots in the state revealed that the PTD members complied with the directive of the leadership. At the Apapa loading depots, some of the union officials who spoke off camera said none of their members are working at the moment. Some Nigerians, however, called on the two parties to resolve issues at hand amicably.
I can only ask them not to go on strike based on what is happening in our society. There's no how you go on strike that is not going to affect those in power. It's going to affect us mostly, we masses. So that's just what I think about this issue of strike of a thing. It's better we make things work amicably within ourselves than going on strike, because there is hunger in this country.
Their strike is for a just cause, and if they are sure that their strike is actually going to bring about the reduction in, the fuel price and diesel price and all of that, if it's a cause that they can fight to the end, it is good. We know that we would suffer from it, but it would eventually be beneficial to us on the long run. But if the strike is just like a facade, they are just trying to deceive themselves or deceive people, then it doesn't make any sense. It would be better off they just call off the strike and let everybody just move on with the new price.
As the tussle continues over what NUPENG calls anti-union activities by Dangote Group, alleging the Dangote Group is employing about 10,000 tanker drivers and making them sign undertakings not to belong to any trade union, and this has strongly been condemned by the union.
The crisis erupted following the Dangote refinery's announcement to roll out a fleet of compressed natural gas or CNG trucks for fuel distribution. While touted as a modernization effort, the initiative has ignited fierce objections from oil workers' unions. According to NUPENG, applicants for these trucks have been required to sign agreements prohibiting them from joining any existing oil and gas union, a clear violation, the union asserts, of Section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution, the Labour Act, and the International Labour Organization Conventions on Freedom of Association. Calling it a declaration of war against the Nigerian working class, NUPENG accuses the Dangote Group of monopolistic, anti-union labor practices and suppressing workers' rights. Simultaneously, NUPENG has unequivocally rejected the legitimacy of the newly formed Direct Trucking Company Drivers Association, or DTCDA, labeling it a management-inspired fraud designed to divide labor solidarity. As tensions escalated, NUPENG issued a nationwide strike notice calling on members to halt fuel loading operations starting Monday, September 8. To address the crisis, the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment scheduled a tripartite conciliation meeting with NUPENG and Dangote Group management, a last-minute push to prevent nationwide disruption. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress has lent its support to NUPENG, warning the public of potential industrial action if Dangote's labor practices remain unaddressed. Analysts warn of imminent fuel shortages across the country if operations remain suspended, with potential social and economic fallout from fuel scarcity and long pump station queues to disruptions in telecommunications, cooking gas supplies, and essential services. Today, Nigeria is a nation at a crossroads. Will dialogue break the impasse before full disruption? The nation watches as workers and management face off in a battle framed as more than industrial. It is a test of Nigeria's commitment to fair labor and collective bargaining.
You are aware that the purpose of this meeting is to conciliate and see how we can negotiate a kind of peaceful settlement on the dispute that we have found out to be existing between our labor unions and the oil industry and the employers in Dangote Group. I think this is not the first time we're having this kind of disputes, and we believe that by the time we sit down with the parties involved, we should be able to settle them, we should be able to resolve the issues within the limits of what is possible.
And yes, the Tripartite reports authoritatively that the strike by NUPENG has been suspended. Now, based on the Memorandum of Understanding MOU reached in a meeting chaired by the Ministers of Labour and Employment, NUPENG has agreed to suspend its ongoing industrial action with immediate effect, following the acceptance of Dangote Refinery to allow its workers to join trade unions. The MOU was signed by Sayu Dantata, Managing Director, Dangote Group, OK Johar, representing Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authority, Benson Ukpa, NLC Acting General Secretary, Nuhu Toro, TUC Secretary General, NUPENG President, among others. The MOU stated that the strike was called following the refusal of the management of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical Limited to allow their employees to be unionized by registered labor unions, which led to a conciliation meeting at the instance of the Minister of Labor and Employment, Mohammed Dingyari. The MOU revealed that in the course of the meeting, the Dangote management agreed with this fact and responded that they are not averse to the unionization of their employees by labor unions in tandem with the provisions of the extant labor laws. The MOU captured that after exhaustive deliberation, the following resolutions were reached: that since workers' unionization is a right in line with the provisions of extant laws, the management of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals agreed that unionization of employees of Dangote Refinery and unionization of employees of petrochemicals who are willing to unionize, that the process of unionization shall commence immediately and be completed within 2 weeks, that is 9th to 22nd of September 2025, and it was agreed that the employer will not set up any other union. Furthermore, arising from the strike notice, no worker or employee of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals will be victimized. Parties equally agreed to revert to the Minister of Labor and Employment a week after the conclusion of their engagement.
I am Comrade Peter Esele. You are watching the Tripartite, the government, workers, and employers roundtable.
I am Comrade Ayuba Waba, the 6th President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, and also former President of the International Trade Union Confederation globally. You are watching the Tripartite on AIT.
I am Hassan Sumonu, Nigerian President, Nigerian Labour Congress, and former Secretary General, Organization of African Trade Unions. You are watching the Tripartite program on AIT.
I am Comrade Festus Osifo, President Pengasan, President TUC. You are watching Tripartite on AIT.
I'm Reverend Professor Hyacinth Ichok, the Vice Chancellor of Veritas University, Abuja. Please keep watching the Tripartite program on AIT.
Thank you for having us back. I hope you have a full information about what happened last couple of days in Nigeria regarding the Dangote refinery face-off with oil workers. Now, don't forget, at the Tripartite, workers' lives matter, employers' business matter, government policies matter, pensioners' welfare matter, eliminating child labor matter, fair recruitment matter, fair labor migration matter as well. And you watching the program, you matter. Please connect with us in our social media handles. Get in touch with us for sponsorship, partnership, and support. I am Abulu Osemahu. Let's do this again.